den Mann, den er porträtiert hat, als eine Mischung von Klaus Kinski, Robert Redford und Crocodile Dundee beschreibt, dann ist da vielleicht einer noch ein wenig einmaliger als wir anderen. Captain Crash ist sein Spitzname und er jagt mit einer kleinen Cessna Autodiebe, fliegt Stunts für Kinofilme oder fliegt einfach mal so, stundenlang kopfüber, dicht über der unendlichen Weite Südafrika.
Das Hauptziel ist es nicht, dich zum professionellen Buschpiloten zu machen, auch wenn der Lehrgang Busch- und Gebirgsfliegerkurs heißt. Es geht darum, dich zu einem sichereren.
don't touch the brakes. Don't touch the brakes. Just use the pedals. And I'm like, okay. Okay. Now you know why he's on my tail wheel.
All right, good stuff. I think we had a good session there.
Damn right we did. Thank you.
Go inside. 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 Go home. Go home.
That was pretty funny, wasn't it? A little bit skiing, first time on Altai Skis, and it was kind of icy. Thought you'd enjoy that little bit of humor. But yeah, I was planning on posting last Friday. I didn't get it out. I've been dealing with getting high tunnels in. For those of you who don't know what high tunnels are, they're also known as very large greenhouses. And it's been getting much colder up here in Alaska, and so the importance of having high tunnels up here is becoming more extreme. So we'll be having high tunnels coming in. It's going to take about 10 weeks for the order to come in from, I think it's New Hampshire. So that's what will be happening. To give you the brief on today's show, so I was trying out the Altai Skis, and I highly, highly recommend Altai. It's a, what do they call them, shoe ski. So it's basically, so I mean, it's almost like running on my Athabascan style snowshoes. But of course, you get to slide down on them, and that's the benefit of them, is that you can actually cover more territory, more area on the skis, because you can you can walk up and then you can just slide down the other side of the hill. What I was doing, as you saw me taping, I was taping up the trees that I'll be cutting down, because I'm going to be cutting an access road. So some of those logs are going to be put into firewood. I'll be bucking those up into firewood for next winter, splitting them, bucking them, and the other ones, the straight ones and the ones of good diameter, I'll be saving those for a house log, for house logs, for a log home, an in-law that I'll be building starting this fall. And also I wanted to give you a bit of some flying with CC Pocock, Captain Crash from South Africa, and really good guy, great pilot. And it's one of those things, you know, I always believe in learning from people who've gone through the mistakes, so you don't have to go through the mistakes. And that's actually where he got his nickname Captain Crash from. I got my short takeoff and landing initiation with him. So this was actually a video that I shot 2 years ago. So this is about 2 years ago that I took the was it advanced mountain and bush flying with CC or Milne Pocock from South Africa, who now is right there. What do you call it? Cal-Nev-Ari, Nevada. Or it's right there at the border of California, Arizona, Nevada is where he's got his strip, and he does his training. I'm going to put a link down in the commentary and the show description, so you can follow that link if you'd like to go fly with him. What I did get with him is I got my tail wheel endorsement, so that was 2 years ago, and then I also got my spin endorsement. And let me tell you, getting a spin, going through spin training is very, very important. It's wild, because you get the you know, STOL avoidance training, but to actually go through the spin and recover from a spin on your own to get that endorsement, I think should be required for every pilot, especially any private pilot, and even any student pilot. You should be able to do that, because if you can't do that, you're going to crash. You're going to die. So why don't they still require it? Mainly it's because there's a lot of instructors who don't feel comfortable about teaching it. And my question is, if you're an instructor and you don't feel comfortable about teaching your student how to recover, and I mean really recover from a full-on spin, what are you doing teaching? Well, big question. And I also want to recognize what this coming weekend is going to be. It's Memorial Day weekend. I have friends that I lost in combat in Central America. I've had friends over the years that I will never see again who have passed away in other wars. So this is the weekend where I basically just go quiet. And it's not hot dogs, it's not barbecue. It's remembering those who have paid the ultimate price for the defense of the United States and the U.S. Constitution. And I hope you take the time to remember that. And while you're out having, you know, your barbecue and your, and I hope you have a really nice day. I hope it's nice and sunny. I heard the rain's gonna be coming in. So that's gonna actually be leading to some more morel hunting next week. I've got a bear hunt that I have to go and complete. I'm supposed to write an article for Recoil magazine. And the question is whether I'm going to do it with my 1886 and 45-70, or I'm going to do it with one of my dad's rifles that I've kept to show, you know, hunting over just shooting, which is getting within 70, you know, 50 yards and shooting with iron sights, because I can't shoot iron sights the way I used to. And so I'll be going black bear hunting and get the first black bear for the year. It's one of my favorite meats, and I'll tell you why when I go get one. And then morel hunting. So that'll be a good experience, but we need the rain to really come in and get solid. So that's something to look forward to, and other episodes we'll be working on. I have been asked, I am reading your questions. One of the questions you asked is, am I going to be teaching shooting? Am I going to be teaching more information on guns? I will be, but the question is whether I'll be doing it on YouTube. I mean, it's just the idea that I'm showing this rifle on YouTube. Will that get me dinged for advertisements in the future? Big question. So the idea of using guns other than, you know, seeing me carry one in the field, I'm not going to do any blood and guts type of of kill shots, that kind of stuff. I will do, bringing the meat back. Regarding butchery and stuff like that, that's another question. Is that actually okay? I think if I don't have a gun in the same picture, in the same frame, that's going to be okay. So that'll be a good question. But I will be doing that information. I'll be opening up a Patreon channel, because I think that's okay to do it over there, because you're basically just paying for entry. And I will give training. I will give training on marksmanship. I will give training on hunting skills. I will give training on butchery, cooking. I'll do cooking here on this show, or on this channel. It's all the same show, but it's just whether it's through Patreon or it's going to be through YouTube. YouTube it's funny, because what were all the channels that used to be here? Like, was FSP was a first person, or FPS, first person shooter, Russia. That guy was making millions, and then and that was meaning that they were making millions for YouTube, and then he got dinged off. So it's interesting that so many people are interested in shooting and how to do it right. And there is a right way and there's a bad way. And I've seen some really bad stuff by people who have no business teaching how to shoot. Mainly because they don't have any experience other than out inside of a range, or maybe a little bit of hunting. But I will talk about security. That's a very important aspect when you live rurally. People don't like to think about that. They don't like to talk about it. But think about it. Really ask yourself a question. Are you willing to live rurally with the idea that the quickest that law enforcement might get to you, or even, and this brings in the question of first aid and the ability to be a first responder, because you're always the first responder. Law enforcement is the second responder. And there's a time where I just say, basically, they're just taking down your name and putting you in a body bag if you weren't able to defend yourself. So that is a big question. And we're having some real issues up here in Alaska. There's a lot of people coming here to Alaska who are not prepared. They're watching reality TV shows like Life Below Zero and Alaska Last Frontier, which are fake. I'm going to tell you flat out, they're flat out fake. They're scripted shows. You know that. I know, because I worked on a scripted show. The Kilchers, as I said, live just over the hill. I know a lot of the actors, and I say actors, on Bering Sea Gold. And when you watch most even Life Below Zero, it's done for drama. So think about that. If you think it's that easy to just come up to Alaska and then boom, within the year you're going to make it. My biggest concern is you come up here, you don't make it through the winter because you're not prepared for what a winter in Alaska really means, because you didn't prepare the previous year because you just arrived there in September. There are people who have arrived here in Alaska in September and October, and then they wonder why they go running onto a plane down to California or Florida or Arizona or wherever. When you come to Alaska, you prepare with the idea that you will not probably get running on ground for about 2 or 3 years, because those are growing seasons. You have to live as a resident in Alaska for 1 year in order to legally hunt as a resident. So think about that. You can't just immediately go and subsist in the wilds, right? So think about what that really means. And you're looking at least 2, 3, 4 years. For me to think of where I'm set up, where we're actually set up right now, it's about 4 years. 4 years to the point that having land that's self-supporting, wild game, the forestry that I've done on this property alone, getting ready to cut in an access road, being able to put up a barn to retain hay, bringing in cattle. Think about what that means, what kind of work that involves. And not just work, but time. And also building relationships with the people around you. Because if you're connected to the road system, which most Alaskans are, and the people who are living that remote, those days of being able to just trap for a full subsistence, those are gone. I mean, you just can't do it with the expenses that are required for you to keep on doing this. In the 70s, people were doing it. 60s easily they were doing it. 50s absolutely. There were people who came up here in the Ford right after World War II, and they were truly living subsistence. They cut their existence out of the wilderness, and you could do it back then. But now there are so many people. Let's say the Kenai Peninsula. I live on the Kenai Peninsula. The Kenai Peninsula is basically like looking at California. It's the state of California. Thankfully, we don't have the population of California, but we're at a point right now where it's beginning to tip over, where in terms of population versus game, and that's why the ones who are successful actually have to get in a plane. You can't even do a boat anymore, really, to be to that level of success. Is you got to get in a plane and you got to fly 300, 400, 500 miles, get to an area where there's a profound number of moose. There's moose that actually have had a chance to live long enough. There are caribou herds that you can, like a caribou run where it's just moving across. I mean, where I hunt on the Seward Peninsula for caribou. I tried the Fairbanks hunt. That was like hunting back in California during the coastal A zone for deer. Imagine that, where it's like you're on a ridgeline and you can see all these people blaze orange. But we're not hunting coastal blacktail in California. We're hunting caribou. And so it's like a shooting range where hopefully you're going to get these caribou. But that's why when you see these pictures and you see these young caribou, that's because those are the stragglers. The main herd's already made its way and gotten away from the big burst that opens up during the I think that's the GMU 20 up there. Man, it's a freaking war zone up there. I'm surprised I never got shot. That's in Alaska. I mean, it's not California, it's Alaska. So think about that. And that's up in Fairbanks. Fairbanks, that's the interior. Anyway, so things to think about before you move rural, before you move to Alaska, especially to Alaska, because everybody's been watching the TV shows and think, oh, I can do that, and think it's going to happen next year. It'll just take 1 year and get all set up. I got a friend who lives down the road, and somebody from California bought property, sight unseen, shows up on his driveway, and then my friend, he actually has to use his ATV to get to his house, which is even further in on his own property still. And he's totally off grid. And yet these people showed up from California in an excursion and thought that the easement road to their property, which is even further than his property, was his driveway that stops much short, very short of his actual home. So think about that. People come into Alaska buying properties sight unseen and thinking they're just going to like pop up a cabin, or that there's even trees the way there were when I was first here in 1990. I mean, I was surprised when I came back. I mean, all the big trees, 35-inch diameter logs, they're gone. They were killed off with the spruce beetle. I mean, the only place you can find them is over on the other side of Kachemak Bay. So be prepared. Do some research. Subscribe to the channel. And that's my call out. Subscribe to the channel. Please keep on sending more questions. Again, I will respond as through the episodes. I will be making more time to do shorties instead of these long Friday episodes. They'll be the ones where I'll be more instructional. I said I would be. I've got some reloading episodes that I have to do. I will be doing casting, so you can learn how to do cast bullets for hunting as compared to just target shooting. I will be doing reloading of rifle and pistol, and also how to sight in your rifle quickly, how to sight in your rifle without wasting ammo. Good things like that, especially with the shortage of ammunition. Well, it depends on where you are. Canada, there's no shortage. In the United States, there's a major shortage. There's also been the highest sales of firearms in record sales. Amazing. Anyway, stay safe, research, read on, and looking forward to chatting with you in the next episode. Be sure to subscribe so you'll get notifications, because I'm getting ready to play around with the idea. Do I still keep on doing broadcasts on Fridays, or will I be doing broadcasts, on a Thursday, maybe on a Wednesday? And by subscribing, you'll be sure to get the latest notification of that premiere. So again, you'll see there's a circle with the moose logo, the 5A moose in a circle, 5 acres and a moose. Click on that one. It's right there in the middle. There'll also be the Origins show that gives you the idea in the background. Me at Discovery Channel, also my experiences overseas. And then the latest or other episodes that I think would be appropriate to match with this one. Again, thank you much for subscribing, and hope you enjoyed this episode, and looking forward to bringing in another one.